Right now at 6, puppies put in a bag and tossed out of a car window. Now the search for the heartless person who did it.
We need a car license plate of someone who actually saw it happen.
Bring the umbrellas. Super Bowl weekend is going to be gray and gloomy. Parishioners trying to keep the faith after learning the priest at their church was removed because of a sex abuse investigation.
At this point, with the priest, it's between them and God.
The news starts now.
New details tonight, the sex abuse crisis that has rocked the Catholic Church. Prominent Houston priest, Father John Keller, was removed from the ministry just hours before the church released names of priests it considers to be credibly accused of abuse. He spent 20 years at Prince of Peace Church. But that list, released by Cardinal Daniel DiNardo, revealed little else about the alleged abuse.
So here are the questions. Who are these priests and what did they do? And where are they now? Investigative reporter Jeremy Rogowski is tracking down the answers for us tonight. Jeremy?
Well, and some priests pleaded guilty to sex crimes while others fended off lawsuits over the years. And still other men who once wore the collar appear to have moved on, living happy lives today. There are at least 4 priests with criminal convictions on the archdiocesan list, including Donald Stavanoha, caught in a sex act with a 9-year-old boy in a church van 30-plus years ago. Or Walter Salisbury, convicted not once, but twice. First in Houston in 1978 and later in Washington, D.C., where the church transferred him and where he committed indecent sexual acts 15 years later. At least a half dozen priests were sued in civil court. The allegations range from getting a teenage girl pregnant to plying kids with drugs and alcohol as a pathway to the sexual abuse. One lawsuit claims there were numerous victims by the same priest.
This is a very sad occasion for us.
The only priest on the list the Archdiocese has previously made public was a former pastor of Christ the King Parish, Stephen Horn.
Credible evidence of the sexual abuse of a minor.
Cardinal Daniel DiNardo removed the priest from ministry in 2008, shortly after his accuser came forward alleging abuse years earlier. We found Horn on social media these days, playing keyboard in jazz and country bands around town. Also on social media, Richard Edelin, who still refers to himself as Father, despite being removed from ministry in 2013. According to news accounts, he was accused of groping a teenage girl in church offices, the confessional, and on retreats. The priest wound up serving another parish in the state of Oregon. On Facebook, he appears to be enjoying the good life, swimming with dolphins on his 25th cruise. Now, we tried reaching out to both Richard Edelin and Stephen Horn today by phone and email. We have not heard back. Meanwhile, it's important to note that of the 40 priests named, 19, nearly half on that list, are no longer living. Mia?
All right, we're just starting to touch the surface looking at this list. Jeremy Rogowski, thanks so much.
Also on this list of credibly accused clergy, 2 priests with ties to St. Thomas High School. Jason Miles found out some still strongly support at least one of them.
No one wanted to go on camera, but a longtime friend and former classmate of one of the priests can't believe he'd be on a list of accused abusers. They're among the 42 names of Catholic clergy credibly accused of sex abuse. 2 priests who've served Houston's St. Thomas High School, including Father Jack Hanna, seen here in a photo from the Congregation of St. Basil's website. It was taken last year, 5 years after Hanna was removed from the faculty after an allegation of inappropriate behavior arose. According to a letter sent to alumni at the time, Hanna agreed to undergo an assessment at a therapeutic center for priests. The details of the allegation remain unclear. St. Thomas issued a statement today, reading in part, quote, Father Hanna had his faculties removed by the Archdiocese in 2013, and the Basilian Fathers removed Father Hanna from active ministry and from any involvement with minors since 2013. A longtime friend of Hanna and St. Thomas alum described him to me as, quote, a fine man and fine priest. But he said allegations against other priests on the lists who've served elsewhere did not necessarily surprise him. The other priest on the list who taught here at St. Thomas is Father Raphael O'Loughlin. However, the school says he wasn't on the faculty during the time the Archdiocese says that credible abuse took place. O'Loughlin died in 1998. You can read the school's full statement on KHOU.com. Reporting from St. Thomas High, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
All right, Jason, thank you. Now, we cannot stress enough, folks, if you've been a victim of sex assault, you are not alone. We urge you to report it to police and then call this phone number for the National Sex Assault Hotline, 800-656-HOPE. The accused priest worked at all parishes all across the Houston area. You can see the entire list of names on our website, KHOU.com. And watch the documentary, our documentary, Unforgivable, about sex abuse in the church.
Well, we could all use a little bit of good news. A Houston police officer who was injured in a shootout earlier this week is back home tonight. The sergeant who injured his knee on Monday was released from the hospital today. 2 other officers are still in the hospital recovering, though. You can stand for Houston by donating blood. We have that information for you on our website.
Now to the weather. What happened to the sunshine? Gloomy and gray and no sun.
Oh, but what about the rest of the weekend, David Paul? Is this stuff going to hang around?
It is going to hang around. Gloomy gray, very little sun, rain. I think more rain tomorrow than we had today. Today was relatively dry, but it's a wet mess that's coming in. Hotel Galveston. Now, for the moment, the sea fog has dissipated. Sea fog will kind of come and go in waves, and from time to time, that fog will make it very thick on Seawall Boulevard and coming across the causeway and in and out of Galveston Bay. That's where the fog may be its thickest as it redevelops overnight tonight, and by tomorrow morning, it blankets all of southeast Texas from Huntsville to the coast. Heavy sea fog may slow down traffic in and out of the Port of Houston as well. Patchy drizzle this evening, rainy Saturday, and then on and off rain all weekend long. I've got the timing on the rain coming up here in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, sir. Here's a look at our other top stories tonight. Family and friends will gather for a vigil tonight to remember a woman who was shot and killed in her driveway in Tomball last week. Elizabeth Barraza was shot multiple times by a woman while she was setting up for a garage sale. The killer has not been caught. This grainy home surveillance video of the encounter is all police have to go on.
The 17-year-old accused of shooting another student outside of Atascocita High School is now being held on a $40,000 bond. The teenager smirked as he was presented before a judge here a couple of hours ago. Michael Nesiosip is charged with aggravated assault. Last night, deputies say a 16-year-old was shot twice during a drug deal in the Atascocita High School parking lot. The sheriff's office says Nesiosip bragged about the shooting in Snapchat videos, then mocked the deputies. That 16-year-old who was shot is expected to be okay. From downtown, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
$1 million. That's how much former Harris County Treasurer Orlando Sanchez is suing a man for after he dumped water on him during a news conference. The man was upset because Sanchez wanted the state to take over Houston Public Schools.
Again? That's what some people in Richmond are saying because the name of this road is changing yet again. First, parts of it were named Ransom Road. Then it was renamed Williams Way. This time it's going to be called Richmond Parkway. David Gonzalez has a look at what is driving the change this time.
If you've lived in Richmond for a long time or know this area, then you know very well that Williams Way Boulevard has had a lot of names. And depending on where you are today, it could be 2nd, 4th, Front, or Austin Streets. Now, city officials plan to rename it one more time. Starting next month, the stretch of road north of 59 will be called Richmond Parkway. The mayor feels the name change will help rebrand the city, and it would only have a small impact on the community.
They might have to change their letterhead on their stationery, and there's not very much that's going to have to be done in the renaming, but it will mean a lot to the city of Richmond.
Those who are directly impacted and have trouble with the future name change can call the city to see where they can get some help. City officials say the cost will be split between the city, the county, and also the state. Reporting in Richmond, I'm David Gonzalez, KHOU 11 News.